Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Chapter 16. Charles Fillmore. The following are quotes from his book, Prosperity, published in 1936. The unfailing resource is always ready to give. It has no choice in the matter. It must give, for that is its nature. Pour your living words of faith into the omnipresent substance, and you will be prospered though all the banks in the world close their doors. Turn the great energy of your thinking toward plenty ideas, and you will have plenty, regardless of what men about you are saying or doing. The spiritual substance is steadfast and immovable, enduring. It does not fluctuate with market reports. It does not decrease in hard times, nor increase in good times. It cannot be hoarded away to cause a deficiency in supply at a higher price. It cannot be exhausted in doles to meet the needs of privation. It is ever the same, constant, abundant, freely circulating, and available. The anxious thought must be eliminated, and the perfect abandon of the child of nature assumed. And when to this attitude you add the realization of unlimited resources, you have fulfilled the divine law of prosperity. In a nutshell, all wealth begins and ends with God. Therefore, gratitude for what you have is the master key to prosperity. Book titles that aim to define their subject often fall short of the mark. Samuel Smiles' Self-Help, 1859, which launched the modern literature on the subject, is an exception. Another is Charles Fillmore's Prosperity, which, although by no means the first title in the area, is one of its great books. Written in the depths of the Great Depression, Prosperity is a sort of triumphant victory song that celebrates the never-ending flow of universal abundance, often in the face of apparent lack and hard times. Many will find it too old-fashioned, ethereal, or Christian for their liking, while others will see it as the most inspiring of all prosperity writings. Either way, all serious students of the subject should have it in their library. Fillmore and his wife, Myrtle, founded the Unity Spiritual Movement, a non-dogmatic church that has raised the profile of prosperity consciousness as a concept. Written when he was in his 80s, the book represents a lifetime of Fillmore's wisdom as a thinker and writer, and is his best-known work. Intelligence and the Abundance of Nothingness. In the early part of the book, Fillmore is keen to bring science into his spiritual reasoning. He notes the view of scientists of his time that the ether, or atmosphere, was not nothing, but charged with electricity, magnetism, light rays, X-rays, cosmic rays, and other dynamic radiations. It is the source of all life, light, heat, energy, gravitation, attraction, repulsion. It is the interpenetrating essence of everything that exists on the earth. In other words, he writes, science gives to the ether all the attractions of heaven without directly saying so. Whether you call it space, the ether, spirit, God, or the heavens, the essential nature of this alive, but non-physical substance, is to give. Out of it, all things come. Prosperity in every sphere of life, from love to money to health, will result when you are attuned to this substance, relying on it rather than on the apparent solidity of matter and circumstances. Pour your faith into its reality, and it will bring forth everything you need to prosper. This substance is the source of your supply, not conditions or people. In having this faith, Fillmore observes, you have to forget any previous ideas about what is possible. God, or spirit, operates at a totally different level to matter, and physical form only comes into being as the result of what it intends. The universe is not a set of blind mechanical forces. Rather, it is persuaded and directed by intelligence. The invisible supply. The implication, Fillmore says, is that the more you understand matter, money, and possessions as emerging from the universal spiritual flow, the less need there is for you to grasp after things and treat them as solely yours. People must begin to consider themselves as common heirs to the universal resource that is sufficient for all. He is not suggesting that you embrace communism, simply that you recognize your ability to create what you need, and after the fashion of the universe itself, not hoard, but keep giving. Anyone who uses this knowledge of the invisible supply for what they might get out of it will be disappointed. Though they may seem to prosper at first, their selfish outlook will lead to no good in the end. The paradox of true prosperity is that the more you appreciate it as a force designed to lift up everyone, the more naturally your own good will arise. Bless what you are. If you do find yourself low on funds, Fillmore says, praise and bless whatever you have and imagine it growing larger. When you eat, be grateful for the food in front of you as the embodiment of universal substance. Do not think about yourself, your interests, your gains and losses, but think larger thoughts about an endlessly renewable supply and the good of all. By blessing what you have, you put the law of increase into motion. All things in matter or spirit are connected, and by focusing on what is physically in front of you, you can imagine more of it coming into being. This is exactly what Jesus did with his loaves and fishes miracle, and what the widow did in the prophet Elisha's day, when she turned her small amount of oil into enough to keep the lamps burning through the night. Recognize the importance of thoughts and words. Prosperity cannot happen, Fillmore notes, while you continue to entertain poverty-stricken thoughts. Each thought draws more to it of the same type, leaving no room for the truth of prosperity to become part of your mindset. You may discount our casual thoughts and ideas, but he warns that they are the eternal realities from which we build our life and our world. Talk only of prosperity, and it will become your reality. Say this to yourself, he suggests. I am God's offspring, and I must think as God thinks. Therefore I cannot think of any lack or limitation. Let God order your life and finances. Fillmore observed that many people live in the real world for 6 days of the week, then leave a bit of room for God on Sundays. For them, it is not right to bring spirituality into the marketplace. If you are really to prosper, however, you must take a leap of faith and allow God into all areas of your life. He writes, "This mind of the Spirit will guide you in perfect ways, even in the minute details of your life, if you will let it do so. But you must will to do its will and trust in all your ways. It will lead you unfailingly into health, happiness, and prosperity, as it has done and is doing does not for need thousands. To strive, and neither do you, if and when you follow." In one of his more beautiful passages, Fillmore observes, "We do not have to work laboriously in the outer to accomplish what the lily does so silently and beautifully. Most of us rush around trying to work out our problems for ourselves and in our own way, with one idea, one vision, the material thing we seek. We need to devote more time to silent meditation, and like the lilies of the field, simply be patient and grow into our demonstrations. These substance ideas with which we are working are eternal ideas that have always existed and will continue to exist. The same ideas that formed this planet in the first place, and that sustain it now. Things come to you easily when you live in a state of love and gratitude. Dwelling on thoughts of spirit, God, and love leads you to everything you need, plus a host of blessings you never even expected or wanted." More prosperity principles. Among Fillmore's many other insights are: you don't have to know how the prosperity law works scientifically. All you must do for it to work is to have a time of silence once a day in order to concentrate on the source from which all things come. Recognition of it, gratefulness for it, and faith in it is enough for it to work for you. You never prosper by trying to get anything out of anyone, or trying to win in a trade or bargain. Instead, hold steadily to the law of equity and justice that is working in and through you, knowing for a certainty that you are supplied with everything necessary to fulfill all your requirements. Don't be anxious. People who hunger to be good and righteous are always fulfilled. If you put spirit first, you should not be ashamed about picturing what you need and knowing it is already coming to you, now. If doubts creep in, say, I trust omnipotence. I know that God does provide for the fulfillment of His divine idea, and I am that divine idea. Don't simply ask God for riches. Instead, like Solomon, the richest man of his age, ask for wisdom, for ideas. People from all over the world visited Solomon for advice and brought gold with them. Great judgment, given as a gift from God, is a basic ingredient of prosperity. Some believe that poverty can be a blessing, that it is God's will for us to have hard times as well as good times, so that we can appreciate things more. But this is not the way of God at all. His nature is eternal giving and new creation. It is up to us to attune ourselves to this reality. Whatever talent you have, you must use it fearlessly, not letting anything stand in your way. To bury your talent goes against the prosperity law. Don't focus too much on your present conditions, only on what you are on your way to becoming. And finally, give away 10% of all money that comes to you. There is nothing that keeps a person's mind so fearless and so free to receive the good constantly coming to him as the practice of tithing. Final comments. Today, bestsellers like The Secret have made prosperity consciousness a household concept. But in 1930s America, when the evidence pointed only to the reality of hard times, it took courage and moral leadership to affirm the ideas contained in Fillmore's book. There is something very comforting and inspiring about prosperity. It is the book to read when you feel overwhelmed by your financial problems, as it shows you that ultimately the source of all wealth is non-material. Most of the time you may be focused on the routines of working, spending, and saving, when the real source of prosperity, the infinite spiritual substance from which all matter comes, awaits your attention. If you can go into a quiet place and be still, you will be reminded of this source and worry less about where the money will come from. Fillmore asked out loud to the reader, "Is this an impractical utopia?" His answer was that you could not know until you tried out his concepts in your own life.